I don't see President Obama doing Iran now, but you see it and I see it. It's a constant drumbeat, and again, after the Republicans win, they're going to get a lot of those folks saying, Iran, the sanctions are not working, they're moving toward the nuclear weapon, we've got to do it, you can't delay. What do you see President Obama doing? Do you see him resisting that?
I do. I do, because I think he knows that, first of all, that would be a disaster for the United States. Secondly, he knows, which is interesting, public opinion polls recently taken show that a large majority of Americans don't want us to go to war against Iran. So he has popular support. So I think he'll resist. And look, we have to use common sense. Iran cannot touch us. We have maybe 500 times more power than they do. We could devastate them in one day. So what is our national interest in attacking Iran? Now, somebody might say, well, but that will protect Israel. But if we dig ourselves into a hole in Iran, how will Israel be better off?
Here's what the argument is. Here's what the argument is. Iran, these are fanatics. They'll build the bomb. They'll get one. They'll give it to terrorists. It'll go off in Baltimore Harbor, Seattle Harbor.
That's total nonsense. First of all, nuclear weapons are very complicated, sensitive little things. They have to be given tender, loving care. Otherwise, they explode in your face, or they don't explode. So it means you have to have a highly skilled professional control over the weapons. Second, no country that has them is going to give them to some lunatics when we have nuclear forensics and we know where the weapon came from. And we'll then attack that country.
Right. So what is the impact in the Middle East in the long run of Iran getting a nuclear weapon? Obviously, so-called moderate Middle Eastern states fear that as much or more than we do.
It makes the region need us more, because the region cannot defend itself, because it doesn't have the means. The Israelis can defend themselves, but if they drag us into a war with Iran, the whole region becomes destabilized, so it's not in their interest either. But if Iran is threatening, then we gain more leverage, because we can offer, and we should, in my judgment, I have said this publicly, we should offer our nuclear umbrella to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, or Egypt, Israel, everybody.
Egypt, everybody.
Any threat by Iran against any one of these states we will consider as a threat against the United States.
Can I ask you about Iran? The big question remains, who's in power there? Certainly not Ahmadinejad. Is it the mullahs? Is it the Revolutionary Guard? There's so much ambiguity right now in who's calling the shots. You have some supporters of Ayatollah Khomeini, who were the spiritual heads of the '79 revolution, now out of favor. Who's in charge?
Well, there is a system in charge that sort of in a creaky way operates. And it's a very complicated system. It's not really just a dictatorship like the Soviet Union under Stalin.
Right.
It's kind of a series of overlapping checks and balances. But there's more and more evidence that this system is being torn inside by political conflicts and personal conflicts. And I think if we are patient and contain them and provide an umbrella for the Middle East, that system will evolve or break down. But if we press them and keep threatening them, we reinforce the system, because we fuse fundamentalism of the mullahs with the nationalism of the country.
You said,
and that's bad for us.
You said that it's not in Israel's national interest to have a war with Iran. It would be disastrous.
For us.
But, yeah, with Iran, yeah, excuse me. But that's not what Benjamin Netanyahu says. That's not what Barak says. That's not what the Israeli leaders say. It's not what the Israeli lobby says. It is a constant drumbeat that this represents, quote, an existential threat, and it's got to be dealt with even if the war, a larger war comes. Right. So they do not agree with you.
I think the opinions within Israel are more mixed than that. A lot of people in the military, in the intelligence, and in the political system at large don't share the views that otherwise you have expressed and synthesized correctly. I think there is the division of opinion. Now, obviously, many Israelis would like us to do the job. But after all, you know, we are an independent country, I think. So we have to ask ourselves, what is our national interest? What is the interest of the region? How best to react and act accordingly. We should not be stampeded into it, and we should make it clear that we're not going to be driven into it by an Israeli attack, which then precipitates an Iranian retaliation against us, forcing us then to attack Iran. So we have to be clear on that, that this is a no-no. And I think the administration is fairly clear on it.
Nora?